Greetings to the north, the south, the east and the west. This is Department S, and here begins the interview with, of all things, the devil. Now let it be clear, what is to follow is not for everyone, because the direction that a large majority of the people are going appears to not be concerned with giving themselves away too easily. But there are going to be a small minority of people from all walks of life, the black, the white, the yellow, the brown and the red, who have attained a certain level of discernment, a certain level of standards, a certain level of conscience. And those people may find what is to follow useful. So that is the reason for pursuing, assessing, and trying to get some clarity in terms of what is to follow. So let us begin. And it is claimed that person was able to interview with the devil. The first question posed by this person was as follows.
Here begins the interview with the devil. I have uncovered the secret code by which I can pick up your thoughts. I have come to ask you some very plain questions. I demand that you give me direct and truthful answers. Are you ready for the interview, Mr. Devil?
So as we've just heard, the person conducting the interview starts off by declaring,
I have uncovered the secret code by which I can pick up your thoughts.
Now, this is suggesting the person's mind, the person conducting the interview, has descended from the heights of consciousness and clarity, that is to say, the first, the second and the third levels of their own psychology, of their own mentality, and consciously descended down to the fifth, the sixth and ultimately the seventh level of the astral light. Well, again, a lot of work has gone into explaining what the astral light is, what psychology is, what the mind is, the difference between the mentality, the mind, the brain. A lot of work's gone into that in the past, so we're not going to spend too much time going into that now. However, let it be clear that right at the very outset of this interview, it is made abundantly clear by the person themselves, whoever the fictitious person is conducting this fictitious interview, they have said quite openly,
I have uncovered the secret code by which I can pick up your thoughts.
Now, why on earth would a person consciously go all the way down, depart from the clarity, the potential divinity of mind, to the very antithesis of that divinity, which is arbitrarily referred to as the devil? This in itself is at the very least rather strange. Now, it's important to say that because, you see, otherwise one will assume that the person conducting the interview is a regenerative, conscious person. But how can they be if they've lowered their mind down using some secret code to pick up on the thoughts of the devil? Not a devil, the devil. Well, let us understand that the mind of a regenerative human being is resonating at a speed that allows for the clarity of thought. Now, one may notice how during times of stress or turbulence, one's mind does not work as well as it does when the mind is clear. And the reason for this is because the mind is designed to work at a finer level of resonance. It is simply designed that way. One could easily use the analogy of a stringed instrument and suggest the stringed instrument is able to produce sound because of the tautness of the strings, the tightness of the strings, and how thin those strings are. Discern whether the note is a high note or a low note, because the thicker the string, the lower the note, the thinner the string, the higher the note. And then everyone, for the most part, is aware that a stringed instrument is in tune when the strings are tightened to a particular pitch. We'll see that the mind is like a finely tuned stringed instrument, and thus produces certain notes of a high pitch because the strings are thin and tight. But to lower one's mind would be to loosen the strings or to thicken the strings, producing a note that is still sound, yes, but no one would attribute that sound to a finely tuned violin. That's the point. An instrument is designed to sound a certain way, and one can ensure that the instrument sounds that way because of the strings being finely tuned and tightened, and the quality of the strings being the type of material that promotes a vibration that produces a frequency of sound that one immediately says to oneself, this is a cello, this is a violin, that's a guitar. Now, although it's not the best analogy, it certainly serves its purpose, because see that each person's mind is like a stringed instrument that produces a certain sound, and because of the tuning fork principle, this sound produced by the mind causes a response that then causes the strings to resonate internally. Thus one experiences the phenomena of thought. This is the tuning fork principle. Again, something that has been covered numerous times in the past, but what will be said about it briefly is, if you take a tuning fork, which is something that's used to tune, well, actually now they use electronic devices, but there was a time when there were these crafted metal tuning forks, and a person will come into your home and tune your piano and hit this tuning fork, and it would resonate, and they would tune the strings of the piano according to the note that came out from the tuning fork. And the suggestion is, if you take two identical tuning forks and hang them by fishing wire in a large hall and strike one with a metal rod, it will send a note out into the entire hall, and when it hits the other tuning fork will ring by way of sympathetic resonance. In other words, it will start to produce a note even though it hasn't been touched. But of course it has been touched in the unseen, but produces something in the seen. Now, by way of analogy, that is like somewhat similar to the mind of a human being. It is like a finely crafted stringed instrument with taut strings that are plucked by the person to emit a sound, a thought, and by the same token can respond in terms of the reception of a signal, which cause the strings to resonate, the strings of the mind to respond by way of sympathetic resonance. It's the tuning fork principle. So straight away one can see we could actually end our investigation at this point, knowing the person conducting the interview is degenerate. Why are they degenerate? Because they openly admit they have uncovered, not discovered, uncovered. They've dug down into the lower depths of what is available for the mind, a secret code which, although it is being presented here as secret, what's really going on, it's something that lies in the abyss of what is possible for the human mind to be aware and conscious of. But the fact that this code, whatever this code is, was uncovered, according to the person conducting the interview, immediately reveals the person has lowered their mentality, lowered their mind, therefore lowered the connections of the mind, of the mentality, to be able then to pick up on the thoughts of something that the human mind is not designed to make contact with, because the devil is the antithesis of whatever is arbitrarily referred to as God. And so, for a person to make use of something to deliberately or consciously lower the mind to then pick up on the thoughts of the devil is degenerate. Now, how many people who may have stumbled across this somewhat fictitious portrayal of an interview with the devil would have taken that position before they've even read the first 2 lines? And how many people could then present the logistics as to why that position has been taken? But furthermore, see how important it is to take that position before moving forward, lest one contaminate oneself or infect one's mind with the type of reasoning that will further inveigle a person rather than engender a clarity that they may actually be seeking. Because do see, many people are seeking clarity and may see what is being presented here as an opportunity to further understand the mysteries of life. But again, let it be clearly stated, insofar as Department S is concerned, the logistics clearly point to the fact, clearly point to the principle that the mind is designed to resonate at a continually higher state of affairs, and not to be deliberately brought down to a level that, by way of metaphor, is suggested to be in a position to then pick up on the thoughts of whatever the devil may actually be. And so, having taken this stance, this is like a mental prophylactic. Now, prophylactic is like a condom. It's like a protective barrier between what we're dealing with and the mind itself, because a position has been taken. There's something strange about what we're looking at, although it's been presented as useful or helpful information. But is it really? This is the question. Is it really? If the way and style of what's being presented comes about because of a lowering of the mind to communicate with something beneath one's pedigree as a human being. Nevertheless, the person suggests,
I have come to ask you some very plain questions. I demand that you give me direct and truthful answers. Are you ready for the interview, Mr. Devil?
well, this is ironic, isn't it? Because you're talking to the devil. You're talking to the devil. Number one, the person's lowered their mind down to talk to something beneath their pedigree, and then they expect something beneath their pedigree to be honest with them. But it's the devil. It's the devil. So how can a person expect something which throughout the histrionic of human affairs has been attributed with the most vile, corrupt, degenerate and evil persona possible to be truthful? This is rather strange, isn't it? And again, how many people who have watched this, it's freely available, and literally thousands of people have watched this and remarked on how useful it is and how wonderful it is, but how many people put the foot on the brake, mashed the brake right off the go, right at the very beginning, right at the very outset, because they had the reference to understand the logistics of what's being presented. No regenerative human being will lower their mind, lower their mentality, lower their connections to the degenerate level of polarity and duality that is governed by the so-called devil, whatever it may be, which clearly is a state of mind, because what is being spoken about here is all taking place in the mind of the person conducting the interview. See that what is being suggested is the person claims they have uncovered the secret code by which they can pick up the thoughts of the devil. And furthermore, that they wish to ask this devil certain questions. And lastly, that they demand that this devil, this so-called devil, gives them direct and truthful answers. So what we are able to do is identify that no matter the content to follow, it is based on a contradiction. A contradiction that stems from a number of different things, and let it be made very clear. Number one, no refined, developed human being, as a matter of fact, let's be clear, no human being, no matter whether they're refined or developed or otherwise, would lower their mind, connect with what is arbitrarily referred to as the devil. And bear in mind, whatever is being presented as the devil has not been elucidated at this point. We don't know what this version of the devil represents. But the one thing that is clear and must be made abundantly clear is a position is being taken in terms of no human being in their right mind, and that's the key, in their right mind. What is their right mind? Connected to that which caused them to be. And that's a brush that anyone that believes in a cause above themselves can coat their belief with. No right-minded human being will deliberately lower the resonation, the conductivity of their mind to then connect with something as low as what the so-called devil is represented as. No right-minded human being is going to do that. This is the first port of call that one may want to thoroughly understand before proceeding. And again, as it's been said, this is not for everybody, because some people, they're quite happy to dismiss or discount, be disinterested in what is being presented here. But these are the people that would happily hop, skip and jump right through this opening statement, and by the time they realize in life that they've made a mistake, it's going to be too late. Because all of this, again, is taking place in the mind. There is no physical devil, there is no physical interviewer. This is taking place in the mind. And we know this is true because, again, the person clearly states,
I have uncovered the secret code by which I can pick up your thoughts. I have come to ask you some very plain questions. I demand that you give me direct and truthful answers. Are you ready for the interview, Mr. Devil?
They can pick up the thoughts. They have uncovered a secret code by which they can pick up the thoughts of the devil. And that they're so interested in what the devil is all about that they demand this entity give them direct and truthful answers. And let it be made very clear, this is hubris of a certain kind. Hubris. This is a person that is playing around, and this is a person that does not understand the pristine nature of their existence. And they're throwing it all away, giving themselves away too easily, because what they're doing is they're dismissing the degenerate nature of their actual pursuit. How many people who stumble across this on YouTube, as the speaker did, would mash the brakes so quickly, we would immediately stop and say, hold on a second here, hold on a second. What's going on? What's going on here? What is this advocating? What is this what is this scenario introducing into the mind of a person who does not have the discernment to understand the scenario in its true sense? Well, that's the preamble. That's the preamble. We are going to continue, obviously. Again, this is not for everyone, but I'll tell you this, for the people that do find something useful in this, they're never going to see cultural life. Well, actually, let's put it this way. For those people that can put their own personal convictions to one side, the feeling is, anyone who's continued listening to this point can see that the sentiment behind what's being presented, where this is coming from, is a place of help. Because some people are so distracted, so confused, and so inveigled. But it's not from trying to understand what's taking place in the world, and more importantly, what's taking place in their minds. But you see, as is often the case, people realize something is not quite right, but do not have the tools or the understanding to do anything about it. But again, not for everyone, because some people are very, very happy with what it is they believe they are doing. Until next time, this is of course Department S, and know that, as it's been often said, the devil is in the details.
Travel Wake up out of your slumber. This little tight one.